Afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park for the latest in our Wednesday Facebook Live videos. And today we are continuing our alphabet-y theme. We're on week 5 of our alphabet this week. So obviously we're up to the letter E, and today we are going to be talking about ex situ conservation, and in particular we're going to be talking about breeding programs, which you know, we are a part of here at the wildlife park. So as ever, please feel free to send in any questions. I'll do my best to answer them, but otherwise I will try to just let you know what we do here to kind of aid with ex situ conservation. Hi guys, good to see you all watching. Hi Sue, good. Hi Judith, good to see you watching today. Hope you're all okay. Right then, so yes, ex situ conservation is basically, it just means conservation kind of away from the natural location of the species that is being conserved. So obviously it's the opposite to in situ conservation. In situ conservation happens, you know, in the wild, on the front lines, where animals or plants or whatever are actually found. Ex situ conservation being the opposite of that. So, you know, a good couple of examples of that are things like, what are they called? Like gene banks and things like that. You know, the places that have got samples of DNA and things like that stored cryogenically and stuff like that. And then obviously the breeding programs and things like that that we, along with the majority of other, you know, zoos and wildlife parks take part in. So yeah, like I say, we are going to try and focus on the breeding program side of things today, as it is the kind of main way in which we help towards ex situ conservation. And I'll tell you a little bit about the European breeding programs that we're part of, and yeah, just kind of try to explain how they work and all that kind of thing. Hi Mary, good to see you watching. Lisa, I believe we've got 9 individuals in this group now, and yes, they are all related. They started as a pair, and then it's grown to be the pair plus all of their offspring. So yeah, these cotton top tamarins are a very good example of one of the breeding programs, which is why I have started with these guys, because we don't give these too much focus on the lives. I thought they'd be a good representation of the breeding program at work. Hi Judith, good to see you watching. So yeah, like I say, we here at Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park, we are members of EAZA, which is the European Association of Zoos and Aquaria, and because of that we're able to kind of take part in the EAZA run breeding programs that are found kind of across Europe. So the breeding programs are divided up into kind of 2 categories. You've got ESBs, which are European stud books, and then EEPs, which are European ex situ programs. And yeah, we'll start with EEPs, as the cotton top tamarins here are part of an EEP. Just a very quick word on kind of the species that we've got here. You'll see our signage here, and if you see this little logo in the bottom left hand corner of the majority of our signage, it'll either say EEP or ESB, and that means that the species that you see is part of one of these programs. Obviously if this logo is not there, they are not part of a program. But like I say, these guys are part of an EEP. So an EEP is the more intensive kind of form of a breeding program that are found in European zoos. And yeah, the EEP is kind of coordinated by what's called a stud book coordinator. So whoever is the stud book coordinator, they take on the role voluntarily, kind kind of on top of their usual zoo work, and they basically kind of manage the entire European population of the species in question. So, for example, these cotton-top tamarins, I believe the stud-book coordinator works at Bristol Zoo, and she is responsible for the entire kind of population of these guys found throughout Europe. So, because of that, the stud-book coordinator for whichever species it is, they are able to. They are the ones that kind of work out who should be breeding with who should be moving where, who should be, which groups of animals should be breeding, should be not breeding this year, but maybe will be breeding next year. And they can kind of work all this out. They've got some very good statistical models and things like that they're able to use, which kind of works out who is able to breed with who. And who should be breeding, who shouldn't be breeding. And the kind of long-term goal, the long-term aim of all these breeding programs is to keep genetic diversity as high as possible within the captive population, and obviously, hopefully, in the future we'll be able to start reintroductions with some of the species as well. But we will quickly move on from these guys. I will carry on talking about EEPs, but I'll go and give a kind of good example now of what I was saying in terms of the stud-book coordinator making decisions and things like that. We're just going to whiz over to the red panda, and we will have a look and see what he is up to, and I will just be able to explain a little bit more with them. So yeah, like I say, the stud-book keeper is able to kind of make all of those important decisions and things like that, to do with who should be breeding, who shouldn't. And the panda's quite a good example of this. So the coordinator for red panda, he works over in the Netherlands. He works at a zoo there. Just have a look at this demo. So the red panda coordinator works over in the Netherlands, and he works out, as I say, who should be moving where, who should be breeding with who. As I'm sure kind of regular viewers will know, we've had a fair bit of success with our pandas here. We've had 4 little ones born here in the last just over 5 years, well, nearly 6 years now, and yeah, he basically was able to kind of decide and work out who should be, who our cubs should be going off to pair up with elsewhere. So our first cub is now over in France, and then our 2 girls are actually the twin girls we had in 2018 are still together, as they are not ready for breeding yet. They would be able to, but they went to a new holder of red pandas, so to make sure they can kind of look after them, I think it's about 3 years before he allows breeding at new collections. So yeah, they went there, sorry. And then Pan, our male, who was born in 2020, he went off to Bristol to pair up with their female there. So yeah, that kind of shows what the coordinator kind of works out. And obviously we lost our breeding female at the back end of 2020, and we do have a young female coming in from the Isle of Man to breed with Mo. She should be here hopefully at some point in March, I believe it is now. So yeah, they have been given a breeding recommendation. So yeah, when she arrives, they will be able to breed. So yeah, he also kind of decided. He also decides. Say with our pandas bred every other year, 2016, 18, 20, whereas he kind of decides that we shouldn't breed kind of every other year, because we've managed to breed them the 1 year, just so we don't flood the gene pool with the genes of this pair, then they shouldn't breed for the next year. Give it a break and then go again the next year. So yeah, all those kind of decisions are made by the stud book coordinators and things like that. I will come back to some of your questions, guys. I will answer them as I walk to our next enclosure. But you could just to fill the gap. So I will come back to your questions, guys. So yeah, like I say, so the red panda is quite a good example of showing how the breeding program works, and how most of it's not out of our control, but the decisions are made elsewhere, kind of for the good of the species, and then we do have to agree to those decisions and things like that. But yeah, most of it is out of our hands, which is all for the good of the species, which is what we're all here for at the end of the day. Right, we will just wander around. I think we'll probably wander over to our Sitatunga. They are members of an ESB rather than an EEP, so we will go and see what they're up to, and just talk a little bit about ESBs. Right. So Zena, so yeah, there are zoos and wildlife parks that don't partake in the EEPs or the ESBs, the breeding programs. Species zoos that aren't members of ERs are generally on. We dropped out for a minute there. Are we back? I think we're back. I will carry on. Sorry, I didn't notice. As I was walking, I didn't notice we'd gone, so I don't know where we got to. So yes, sorry, I'll come back to some of your questions. Apologies for the little delay there. I think lost connection for a moment. So yes, there are zoos and things and parks out there that don't join EEPs. The majority of species that are under an EEP then aren't actually available to those zoos, if you see what I mean, because they don't hit those welfare kind of standards potentially. But yeah, we that's pretty much that really. Most endangered species / resident of the zoo, Dale. That's quite a good question. I would possibly say maybe our pied tamarins now. They've recently been bumped up to critically endangered from endangered. So I think they might be one of the most endangered. The cotton top tamarins that we've seen already as well, they're similar. Not sure if any of the reptiles might be a bit worse off. I know we've got turquoise dwarf geckos here, who are critically endangered as well. Utila Island iguana is also critically endangered, as are our brush-tailed bettong as well. Other than that, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else. The spider monkeys who are behind me at the moment used to be critically endangered. They've been bumped down towards endangered, which is good news for them. Same with the northern bald ibis as well. They were critically endangered and are now down to endangered. So yeah, I hope I kind of answered your question, Zena, with my previous answer about it being compulsory to join a breeding program. I think if you want certain species, generally you do need to be a part of that breeding program. So yeah, to stop breeding, we can separate animals or give them a contraceptive implant, and obviously it depends on the recommendations. If an animal is no longer required for breeding at all, then you can do a more permanent solution, such as vasectomy or something like that. But generally, yeah, it's splitting them up or giving them contraceptives. Contraceptives are the main kind of thing we use here. No, so currently none of us are actually species coordinators for anything. I don't believe there's actually many that are open at the moment. and obviously then you kind of want to focus on what you're specialised in. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, but currently none of us are a species coordinator. I do believe our manager, he used to be the coordinator for the Solomon Island skink, or the monkey tail skink that we've got in the reptile house, but he isn't anymore. So yes, like I was saying, the Sitatunga here are part of an ESB rather than an EEP. So ESB stands for European Studbook, and it is run fairly similarly to an EEP. It's just not as intensive. So the coordinators of those species don't really make true recommendations or anything like that. They kind of, us as a collection are able to be a little bit more free with the movement of animals and things like that. You know, with these guys, we brought this male Sitatunga in from Blackpool Zoo last year. It was about a year ago now. And yeah, we needed a male. They needed to get rid of one, so it was a move we kind of instigated between us rather than getting the coordinator involved. But obviously, they are able to provide any information that they feel they need to, and tell us, you know, if we should or shouldn't be doing something. They are able to do that, but like I say, it's just not quite as intensive as an EEP. The majority of species that are under a breeding program in EASA are under an EEP, and certain things. So I'm pretty sure Binturong got bumped up from an ESB to an EEP in the last 5 or 6 years or so, something like that. So yeah, it kind of shows the species that are most in need of real intensive management. So yeah, please feel free. Apologies for the break in the feed there. Yeah, we lost signal as we went past the Loris house, so I think we've had that before actually, so I might avoid that area in future. But yeah, please feel free to send any last minute questions, and yeah, I'll do my best to answer them for you. Otherwise, we will call it a day, because I've been going on for 20 minutes now. We'll just have a quick look at the spider monkeys. So the spider monkeys are behind us, and they are part of an EEP. If you saw the video I put on Facebook on Monday, they're pretty much in the same position they were. Rosie's having a nice little groom from Gucci. So yeah, these guys are, like I say, they're part of an EEP. These guys are actually half brother and sister, so yeah, they definitely won't be breeding. So yeah, actually that's a good point to quickly say. Not all individuals, that are part of a program are actually going to be breeding. So a good example of that is these two. They, live as a half brother sister pair. Things like our group of squirrel monkeys as well. They are an all male group, a bachelor group, and bachelor groups are quite important as well within the breeding programs. Obviously, depending on social structures of certain animals, you might have a bit of a sex imbalance. Species that have an alpha male and then a group of females. You do need collections to take on those kind of surplus males. So bachelor groups are kind of are also an important part of the programs, even though those individuals at the current time aren't being used for breeding. They may be in the future. So yeah, they are very important to help with the overall management of the species. Right then, guys, I think we will call it a day at that. Hopefully we did reconnect properly, and hopefully you've been able to see the end of this video. If not, I've been talking to myself, but that's fine. I do that anyway. So yeah, I hope you've managed to learn something about the breeding programs today. And we'll be back next week with the letter F. in our next Alphabeti Facebook Live video. Can't remember what F is. I'll have a look, and we'll find out next week. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. I hope you've actually hope you've been able to see the whole video. Apologies for the break in the middle. Like I say, we lost connection. Apologies if anyone sent in any messages either. It doesn't seem to have refreshed since the issue we had. So hopefully I'm not missing anyone out. But thank you for tuning in, guys, and we will see you again next week. Thank you.